Welcome back to War Thunder and welcome to some realistic gameplay here in the Japanese Type 74, which is an 8.3 main battle tank, or medium tank as the War Thunder classification goes. And of course we are back in the high tier. Now I already made a double feature of 2 jets and I'm not quite sure when I will release this video, so I'm sorry for that. If you don't know about certain jets and double feature and so on, very balanced jets. And so we talk a little bit about high tier gameplay. Now here we are on Frozen Pass and I'm going for the A capture point. So what is the Type 74 if you don't know it? I think I made already a first impressions and I said there's not really nothing new about this tank. Of course it is a little bit different if you compare it, for example, to the Leopard. First of all, the stock shell is better. It's equal to the American M60A1 AOS, and well, practically the gun is an L7 of some designation. I think in this case it's again the L7A3. For the Americans it's the M68, and yeah, then there's also the Centurion Mark 10 with the L7A1, which just can't fire heat FS, but therefore has a higher rate of fire and so on. And so, high tier gameplay. What is it like and why did I not really cover it? Well, there were 3 reasons. First of all, I grinded a lot of the vehicles and I'm currently busy grinding the last one, the Type 60 ATM, but I'm not in a real hurry. But I also want to spade all other tanks, and grinding or spading the M42 Duster and the STA2 took quite some time. I found my sweetheart and sweet place with it in arcade, back to efficient grinding. But it's not really, what held me back. It's the lack of fun. It's that high tier gameplay overall is something that I personally, in my personal opinion, don't think is that much fun for me. Of course, if you always wanted to drive your Leopard and you threw money at Gaijin, in the shape of 2,660 golden eagles, you could immediately unlock the heat FS shell. And with that, it's competitive. But that's a problem, because it's all about heat FS. Now imagine high tier gameplay without any kind of heat FS. Suddenly armor would matter again, right? Yeah. But that's not the point of criticism. For me personally, the gameplay is extremely time consuming overall to get any achievements unlocked or any necessary modules. I mean, imagine those tanks without repair kits or fire extinguishers or crew replenishment modules, therefore, actually basics of survivability. And that is, of course, a criticism at any tier, but for many tiers it's not that disastrous. You can have a few good games and then you just, or in this case, double repair. Why is this still a thing, Gaijin? Why? Okay, so you kind of see the grumpy approach on this topic, but I have to say the Type 74 is fun. It is, really it is. And with this match I unlocked actually the engine upgrade, the first one. And so I haven't played it since, but I can confirm one thing. This tank, stock, is as fast, if not faster, than a stock Leopard or even a partially upgraded one. And that is freaking me out, because this tank has armor. Yes, the turret armor is amazing. When you can go hull down, it is truly amazing. At least as long as somebody is not shooting you with an ATGM or heat FS shells. Yeah, you kind of see a pattern emerging here. Yeah. So I'm done now with grinding all tier 4s except one, and that I actually want to hold back a little bit. And I just, wanted to get in touch with high tier again. Now, with all the Japanese tier 1 to 4 tanks being completely spaded, I have an excuse to play high tier tanks and to unlock modules to go with the premium RP that you get for unlocking a certain rank of modules, and that boosts your grinding process quite a little bit. I still have 320,000 research points to go on the Type 60 ATM. That that takes a while. Even in RB or arcade or what you do, and there is no tier 4 premium tank, and I don't have enough golden eagles to decorate every single high tier tank with a talisman. I would love to, but I don't do it. And Japan just doesn't have enough tanks overall in the tech tree to make for a good lineup. Yes, together with the STB1 you have a fantastic backup tank. I really like the STB1, and in the current upgrade state the STB1 is nearly done. I prefer the STB1 a little bit. So, what are the specialities on the Type 74? I mentioned it, the fantastic turret armor, because there is a big blocking shield behind the gun mantle, so you can't see it in the armor view. At least I did not manage to do it. Maybe it's kind of visible with a trick like on the IS-6, but I don't know. Then there is the stabilizer, and the stabilizer is fantastic and absolute nonsense at the same time. Why is it fantastic? Well, when you're on the move or you have just a snappy engagement where you just come around the corner, gun is roughly at the right position and you don't have the time to brake and then properly aim, snapshotting is so much better than with a lot of the other tanks. Yes, certain other tanks also have the stabilizer, namely a lot of the British tanks, and also you know, the German Leopards. And that is fantastic. That just is so much better. But what is the bad side about a stabilizer? Well, when you turn your hull and you try to turn your turret, it kind of gets locked. Yes, you can assign a button to turn off and on the stabilizer, but you know, that's a little bit of fiddling, and where my left hand is, all keys are already assigned to this. And then you turn it on and so on. So I think I have to get used to it, yes, and I know roughly how to deal with it, but it sometimes has killed me. And then, you know, you see the bad side, like a big problem, but in fact it isn't. But I have to mention it. Then there is also the hydropneumatic suspension. And again, we have to go back to the STB1. Why is that? Well, the STB1 has 9 degrees of gun depression. So in the most case scenarios, you actually don't need it. It's a nice gimmick. It's nice to have, to be honest. But you don't need to use it. With the Type 74, you're limited to 5 degrees of gun depression. But you are not a Russian tank that just can, you know, rush in and hope to bounce some heat FS or, you know, have non-penetration hits. Now, with the Type 74, the hull is the problem. The side is not that strong, and also the front, you know, there is the lower plate. While it is pretty bouncy, you know, Russian shells find their way in. And APDS, you know, from the British or the M60s, they will go in and they will do tremendous amounts of damage. And yes, I very often lose consistently 2 crew members with the first hit, and then the reload rate is insane, and also the repair times are not on a T29 level. But, you know, you still can make this tank work. Situational awareness, your personal skill, thinking, that is what makes this tank work. It is fun, it's nice to drive, but don't get fooled. I dumped a lot of golden eagles into it. And the major criticism is that there is nothing really new about the weapon system, because it's stock APDS, which is highly unreliable. Then there is, as a tier 2 upgrade, I believe, the hair shell, and there was a big nerf recently, so I don't trust it that often, but I still have some with me. And to be honest, in most cases, like initiating hull break, the heat FS shell is good enough, because it goes over the 700 grams of TNT equivalent threshold that initiates hull break. And then, you know, as a tier 4 upgrade, you have the heat FS. With the heat FS, you are the most skilled player on the planet. Without it, you are, you know, that fool that always dies when bouncing on an enemy front plate or something like that. Now, it's the real battle performance, not in a test drive or, you know, in some sort of controlled environment. It's the dirty truth of realistic battles and also arcade, because the game mechanics themselves don't really change in terms of armor penetration and interactions and so on. But having said that, in RB I think this tank is so much more powerful than in arcade. Again, thanks to the easy way of heat FSing, just like that. That was my 7th kill, and you know, it's just how it goes. You just drive around and shoot everything in the face and hope to go away with it. Or snapshot them. I have no idea why this guy didn't pull the trigger, but I got away with it. So, at the end of the day, the tank itself is fine. I can recommend it if you want to know if it's worth going for this tank. If you have an M60 already, or you have already a Leopard, you know, don't be surprised if you think to yourself, oh my, this is kind of similar. Yes, there is the turret armor, but on the other hand, against certain enemies like, again, ATGMs, I would not rely on it. But overall, the tank's handling is fine, the gun is fine, the reload is on M60 niveau or SDP1 niveau. Yeah, there is nothing new. I still stand with my first impressions. Now, I have not played enough for a proper tank review, and you know, there is another tank review already going on, I guess, but you still have to see the point. It's boring, it's repetitive, it's not a meat grinder, what high tier tanks are, it's worse, it's a time grinder. But to recap it all, okay, this is a very pessimistic point of view. Now let's talk about, you know, the positive aspects. Let's say you have this tank, it's fully upgraded. I think this tank is actually worth putting a talisman on for future high tier grinding. I think, you know, this heat FS shell will be competitive for a very long time, and I personally don't think that Gaijin will ever nerf this heat shell. Now, another thing is, again, I just have to recap it. I had this experience so often on 2 Leopards, on 2 M60s, and also on the SDP1. It's nothing new for me, and it's the same all over again. Now, let's go back. Let's go back and let's have a quick look at the results. And there was a patch with 20% increase of income and a 30% booster for research points, giving me 58,000 civil lines for my 7 kills and 1 kill assist, and modification research points, nearly 5,500 research points. For the vehicle research, over 7,000. And that was the unlock of the engine, giving me also first place in a team with no death and 2,379 score points. That's a really nice result. There you can see the upgrade way and the recommended upgrade way, I would say. And yeah, now if I go for filters or transmission is not that important, but I aim for the bonus experience to see any kind of progress. This is why I choose the filters. Normally I would go for the transmission because it's, funnily enough, cheaper. So that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you understand the arguments that I made and the reasons why I hesitated a little bit with high tier gameplay. I think I will feature more. I have to get into it. There is no way around. There is nothing left for me to play. Maybe a tank review on a lower tier vehicle. And in this respect, let me know in the comment section what you want to see, what you think about the current kind of content, and if you like it. And as usual, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please give this video a like if you did. It helps the channel out greatly. And subscribe if you want to see more. And we will see each other on the battlefields of War Thunder.